Kathy said, do you find that getting point of view tightly defined needs to happen before trying to define a niche and then build offerings that integrate the two? I tend to have a hard time narrowing my niche. Easier to define the point of view. Okay, well, good question. I don't know. Generally, I would say it starts with the niche, but Kathy, where are you calling in from?
Just outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, well, welcome. Good
Thanks.
to, good to have you here. To me, the niche, it's not really a binary, but generally the niche needs to come first before the point of view. Because if you make products, right, you're a product maker, then the point of view is going to be your point of view about how those products should be made. If you're a service provider, the fundament of your work is that you help people get from island A to island B. That's like 90% of the niching is really figuring that out, figuring out the who, not the what or the how. It's figuring out what's the problem that I'm going to solve, help them solve, what's the result they're going to get. And then the point of view needs to be your point of view about that journey from island A to B. So if we don't know what the island A and B is, then it's just your philosophy about life. And I'm real happy for you that you have that philosophy, but it's not particularly relevant to me. Now, having said that, you can sort of reverse engineer from the point of view a bit, where you could just look at your mad collection of books and all these thoughts you've gathered, and you just look at it all and you ask yourself, okay, what kind of people would be into all this stuff? Like, and what would they be struggling with? There's that. You can sometimes reverse engineer just what types of people, what crowds, what scenes would be drawn to this. But I still then want to know what's the problem you're solving and what's the result. Because if it's just like come listen to Kathy talk about her opinions, I guess that has a place too. They're spiritual teachers, but even that has a journey from like stress and inner turmoil to inner peace. There's
hmm
still some journey. So how does that all land for you?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think I really struggle with, I've worked with a variety of people. And so really narrowing it down to just a certain sliver of those people feels like putting myself in a box a little bit. But I do understand that what I do is not going to resonate with everybody. And I really just need to be very specific in order to attract people who really are looking for what I do. So yeah, I just need to do some more work on that.
It could be, I mean, this gets back to the kind of rite of passage, conversation. You could say something like, look, if you're drawn to these topics, these authors, these kinds of questions in life, that's what we get into in this work or in this group or in this program. Because sometimes that is a thing. Sometimes people are just wanting to be around other people who see things the same way. They want to be around people who, like anytime there's a minority in a culture, they hang out together just because they have the same lived experience. They just need to be around each other because of that, because of what they're going through. So sometimes it's worth noticing you don't have to have the answer always. You could say, I don't even know the answer to this problem, but I just know this is something worth talking about. And so I'm hosting gatherings and conversations about it, like the death cafes.
hmm
There's no real expert in a death cafe. Like literally nobody there is really an expert because ain't nobody done it yet.
Right.
Nobody's died. It's everybody there is a rookie at some level. And so that's the setup is we all got to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I guess I think maybe what I need to do a little more of is talking about, I'm like thinking out loud here, but
Mhm.
talking about my approach because that really my point of view is the part that's unique. I use yoga and Ayurveda, meditation, breath work, all those things really go together to help people who are struggling with anxiety, stress, or health issues. I mean, that's where this can be applied in a lot of different ways, but my approach to it is a very natural approach, and that you actually have a lot more agency over your health and well-being than what you've probably been led to believe. So the people that would resonate with are not the people who are like, I have to work out 3 times a week as hard as I possibly can, or I just want a prescription to take care of this. It's a very
Yeah.
it's a life shift sort for a lot of people going from these are the things that have been told to us as to how to take care of ourselves. And actually, if we really want to take care of ourselves, we need to do it in a much different way. And it's very customized because you are an individual. I am an individual. Even my sister who has a lot of the same DNA, very individual.
I get it. Now, here's the trouble with this though,
Yeah.
is I still don't know why I'm coming to the workshop. Like just to hear your thoughts about self-care, your thoughts about health, your thoughts about well-being, like that isn't necessarily compelling. Now, if there's a session on depression, there's a session on anxiety, there's a
Mm-hmm.
session on a particular kind of physical health symptom, or something like this, just there's going to be more relevance and people are going to be more drawn. Long term, you might find a bunch of people who just love your approach to life and want to hang out with you. I mean, and they don't even care what you're talking about. I think we can all probably think of people like that. They're teachers we've had. And oh, you're going to an event with them again. Yeah, what's it about? Don't know. Like you haven't even dug into it. Sometimes you just want to be around them and hear what they have to say. So that could be, but that's a long game in the
Sure.
in the short term, the more particular we are about the issue, the better. There's two resources I'd recommend here. Okay, this is marketingforhippies.com/ebooks. There's the My Philosophy page, the Ideal Client Workbook. The Ideal Client Workbook is kind of to help you harvest the clarity you've got. Like, what do you already know? What's already true for who you want to work with? And then the My Philosophy page is then how do you articulate the point of view on a single page in your website that people could read and say, yeah, I really like that approach. I like that worldview. Those are the things I think would be most helpful.
Okay. And I guess too, I could take a couple of case studies, which came to mind when you were mentioning anxiety. I don't know that these one person actually called it anxiety. And these are two clients I've worked with who have seen really good results. The other person didn't call it that, but just said, like, I don't know how to relax anymore. So I can see, even though I know I can apply this to other things, just honing in on, hey, let's take anxiety and stress and give you some tools to solve that, and but focus on that niche. And then maybe I get somebody who's recovering from surgery just because they heard my name and somebody recommended me, but focus on this one group of folks.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Stress, burnout.
Yeah.
And here's an important thing for everybody. Don't try to sell prevention. We don't buy it. I don't know why. I don't know why humans don't do the prevention thing, but we really don't for the most part. We got to hurt a lot before we deal with stuff. Seems to be in the hardwiring. So it's like a workshop on preventing burnout for people who've never burned out is going to be empty. But how do you recover from burnout, or how do you make sure you don't burn out again, or you're dealing with really overwhelming stress, and that stress is showing up in the following types of ways. That's now suddenly interesting. Somebody's like, oh God, yeah, I'm way too stressed. I got to deal with this. But even stress, the stress isn't so much a problem. Okay, chronic stress, that's more of a problem. But even that's not totally the problem. It's that the chronic stress is creating symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we speak to those.
Yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks for your good work.